In this video, we will be making a lily, and I have colored recycled sheet music today. Wow, exciting. So we're gonna start by folding the whole thing in half diagonally. You can see I already have this fold, so I will just reinforce it. There we go. Okay, now flip the whole thing over. Now we're going to fold it in half the regular way. Okay, open it back up. I'm going to fold it in half the other regular way. Okay, now we're going to open it back up. Now you can see that these diagonal edges are trying to meet each other. We're going to let them. So bring the two diagonal edges together like this. So then it'll look like this, and then flatten this out. If I went too fast for you, or if you're still confused by something, please feel free to pause and rewind and rewatch until it makes sense to you. So now is a slightly tricky thing, but it's not too bad. So you see how you have a couple of layers here. You're going to take one of the top layers, you're going to bring it so that the little tip here points up. So then what you're going to do is you're going to open it up like this. You're going to take your finger, you're going to stick it in, then you're going to use your other hand to flatten it down like this. And so what you want to do here when you flatten it is you want this center line to line up with this center line on this side. Okay, there we go. So now I like to flip the whole thing over like this and do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to bring this tip up like this. There we go. I'm going to stick my finger in it like this. And I'm going to use my other hand to flatten it out. Oh, this one needs a little bit of help at the bottom end here. That's okay. Yours might too, and that's totally okay. Just as long as the end result looks like this, you will be just fine. There we go. So now we have to do this 2 more times. So what I like to do is I like to pick this whole thing up, rotate it so that the edge is now facing you. And so now I'm going to take, and I'll flip this just so you can kind of see how there are these little edges here? I'm going to bring these and I'm going to fold them together, which causes them to flatten. And then I'm going to flatten this bottom flap as well. So then you end up with the setup for doing the same thing that we have been doing, like this. Okay, and then last one, we'll flip this whole thing over. You can see our final little point right here. Okay, there we go. So now what we're going to do is, so you're going to take your top layer only, and you're going to bring this edge to this center line, like this. There we go. So now you're going to do the same thing. I like to rotate this because I'm kind of ambidextrous. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to bring this edge to the center. Actually, here, I'll zoom in on us a little bit. There we go. Like this. Okay. Good. And I'm going to rotate it just so you can kind of see it. Now you're going to bring this tip to meet this one. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to unfold back to here. And here comes a very slightly tricky part, but it's not too bad, and we will get to repeat it a lot. So what you're going to do is you're going to bring this singular layer up. And you have to kind of put your fingers in on the inside, and you're going to fold this entire thing up like this. And you'll have to probably help it around the tip just to make sure it goes and flattens out as nicely as you can get it. And so then from here, now that we brought it up, we're going to take our little flap we just made and we're going to point it down. That will create eventually the inside of our lily. So now we have to do this 3 more times. So I like to just rotate the whole thing, flip it all over like this, and then do the same thing on this side. So we have edge to center. You'll get a lot of practice with this. Edge to center. I'm going a little faster. Okay. Bring this tip over here. Okay, open it back up. And take your top layer and help it to come all the way up. I've noticed some of these kind of go a little better than others. I can't fully explain that. I guess it depends on the paper and how it feels on a given day. And then bring this tip down like that. So now we have to do it the other 2 times. So I'm taking the whole thing, I'll zoom back out a tiny bit, and then I'm rotating it here so you see the edge. Then you're going to open up the 2 center layers like this so you can see this very familiar little diamond shape. So now keeping it like that, rotate the whole thing. See, I'm keeping it flat like this, but you can see the edges. And then from here, opening it up the same way. Okay. So same things on this side. I'll just go fast. Feel free, again, to pause the video so that you can take the time to do all the steps that I had shown you previously, if you'd like. So I've been doing this since middle school, so I have a good amount of experience with origami at this point. Okay, alrighty, there we go. So we've now done all 4 sides. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate it back so we can see the edge, and you'll see that there are 4 layers on the inside. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna open it up so that you have a completely flat layer sticking out here. Then we're gonna rotate it and do the same thing on this side. And then when you flatten it, you wanna make sure that once you've gotten it so that both sides have flat, check the sides, edges, to make sure that there are 4 layers on each side. Otherwise it'll get kind of wonky and confused. So now what we're gonna do, so here's the open end with the flappy parts, here is the closed end. So with the open end pointing this way, we're going to take the top layer, we're going to bring the edge to your center line. It's kind of faint, but if you look carefully, you'll be able to see it. Okay, and again, I'm ambidextrous, so I'm rotating it, but the same thing. We're going to bring this edge to the center. Okay, and guess what? We got to do this 3 more times. So I'm going to rotate this whole thing back to the flat side, and same thing, top layer only, edge to center, adjacent edges to center. Okay, so now I'm going to take the whole thing, kind of like what we did before, bring it so that the edges are facing you, and take the 2 edges that were facing you and bring them together. This is starting to kind of look like the fox face from the crane video a little bit. So then open this part out, you'll get a nice flat, you'll get your nice flat side, rotate it back to the other side, And same thing here. There we go. So again, adjacent edges to center. Okay. All right, flip it over, adjacent edges to center, and always with the flappy parts pointing this direction. Okay, there we go. So now, the final step here, we basically made our flower, so now we just have to make it look like one. So we're going to take the petal, these are your petals. We're going, I fold it, you can kind of see right here is where the edge of the thing is. So if you want, you can fold it down completely, like that. Then what I like to do is I like to run my fingernails along the edges of it, and I use my thumb to press in the center. And what this is doing is this is curling the petals so it's more reminiscent of its real life counterpart and doesn't look as geometric. You can also use a pencil to roll this, or a pen, anything that's kind of small and round and not too thick to roll your petals. This is also easier to do with a smaller piece of paper, but I used a big piece of paper so you can see what's going on. So there you go, there's one, and we've got to do the other. So I don't usually fold the edge all the way down. I kind of stop it and help assist it a little bit, kind of press down, and then I roll the petal. Yeah, much easier with a smaller piece of paper, but when you're first learning, bigger is usually a little bit better, and that's okay. Okay, there we go. Good, we got 2 petals. So now we have to access the 3rd and the 4th petals. So what you're going to do is you're going to open just this side up and keep everything else open, so at the moment it looks kind of triangular. That is okay, that's correct. So then, again, same thing. Also notice I'm very gently kind of holding around it, because if you squeeze too hard, obviously you'll crush it and flatten it back out, and that will defeat all the effort that we just put in the last minute or so. And we don't want that. Okay, and then last one, same thing, rotate it, kind of hold it open gently, and shape your petal. And with that, we have a beautiful lily flower. How cool is that? Answer, very. If yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that's okay. It may even look better than mine, who knows? If this is your first time making it, I'm sure it looks great for your first time. And as always, thank you so much for joining me.